Go live. Why is it not going live?
I think we are.
LinkedIn is not going live. So let me see
Okay.
what's going on here, why it's not. Let's just see if we can do an event. They always have to make it complicated, don't they?
Yep.
Okay, it's not going to let me do it. I don't know what's going on with that. So, hello, everyone. I guess we are on Facebook and YouTube. So, apologize for the delay there. There's a problem with LinkedIn this morning. I have no idea why. So, we'll just post it there later. This week, we are talking about what to do if your lead magnet isn't working. And so I'm Elisa Connor, and I own Elisa Connor Consulting, and my co host is Anka Herman. Hi, Anka. How are you?
Hello, and I don't take monsters.
Yes, you do. And so we are both fully ingrained in this business of having a lead magnet, and probably have both had the experience of it not working and being really frustrated because you put so much time into it. So we just wanted to dive into some of the things that we've seen in the industry that you can avoid, that are going to save you lots of time, lots of energy, and lots of frustration when it comes to creating your lead magnet. And so, Anka, do you want to start? You want me to dive in?
Yep, no, I go. And I think the first thing I want to say to that is, well, yeah, it's like, it's because if you think about when you come up with the idea for a lead magnet, it's your best guess of what you think your audience will want to hear. So you can already tell there's a lot of guessing involved, even if you know them well. You still have the expert's curse. So you still are in a little bit of a disadvantage in a sense of what you think they might need may not be what they want. So I think the first step to kind of deal with that is to just get used to the thought that not all lead magnets will fly, you know, and that's okay. And it's like, okay, if one doesn't do as well as you thought it would, well, first of all, I always say question your assumptions before you question your capabilities and question your expectations. That's also the first thing. It's like, what did you expect this to do? Is that reasonable? Did enough people even see the thing? Right? So, and then use the data to come up with the next one.
Yeah. And I think you hit on a couple of really important things that I see often. And that's a lot of people will create one lead magnet and think they're done. And the reality is that is never going to be the case. Like, you may have evergreen lead magnets if they do really well and you've analyzed that and seen that they are doing really well. But most times it's going to be guesswork. And even, and if people will tell you right up front, hey, this is what I want, or this is what I need, or whatever, and you create something around that, a resource around that, the resource still may not be the exact fit. And so an example of that could be like, maybe you create a white paper and your audience really wants a video tutorial. If you put it out as a white paper, people may be like, I don't have time to read this white paper. I don't have time to go through this white paper. We put it out as a video and it's, 10, 15 minutes long. The likelihood that that's going to convert higher is much better.
And I think the first point to even look at is to say, what does do well even mean for you? Right? You might find you only have 3 people downloaded. If one of those turns into a client, I'd say that thing does well, right? So I think like you kind of get clear for yourself what it even means. What is it that you're looking for this thing to do, right? And I think given that you can't, it's almost like well, you can buy a lottery ticket. It doesn't mean you can count on it winning. It's a possibility, but there's a good chance you're going to have to buy a few before one hits, right? So I think that almost leads to that next place. Like, don't over-engineer it. Don't do something that takes you ages and ages to create until you really know that you've got the positioning of it right, and it's something that is valuable, that leads people towards your work, but it's also something they want. Until you have that right, you don't want to over-engineer the thing.
Yeah, I agree. And not only that, but so often I have seen people where they'll set this up and then they never go actually look at the analytics to see, is it working? They just have it set up and they're like, I don't know why it's not working. And so really, that's a really important key factor, is not only to have something in place to measure whether or not it's working. And it can be something as simple as, are they downloading it and reading the emails, or are they engaging with you in some way? But not measuring is another thing that I find people run into. Like, they just set it and forget it. And that's, marketing is a living, breathing organism in your business. And you can't set it and forget it, especially today. Like, in this world that we live in, things are ever evolving, ever changing, and you've got to stay on top of not only what's happening in the industry that you're in, but also what's happening on different platforms and different, what am I trying to say? Different ways that you're promoting your stuff that you're putting out there. And for example, over the weekend, I do not spend a lot of time on Facebook. It's sort of annoying to me. Like, I can't be there anymore. But I happen to be on there for a totally non-work related reason. And I don't know if I was just astonished or annoyed, but at how many ads are on Facebook now. Like, there's 2 posts and an ad. 2 posts and an ad. And I'm like, this is like, I'm surprised anyone is on that platform, because the advertising is ridiculous. In my opinion, that would be like watching a TV show and you have a commercial every 2 minutes.
Well, that's kind of what it's like. It's fake. And I mean, it is annoying, but I think you've just actually hit a really important point as well, to say, well, you can't set it and forget it, because I mean, I've done that too, right? Where I've had lead magnets and I'm like, oh, it doesn't really kind of grow my list the way I thought it would. Yeah. And then you look at, okay, how many people, because there's 2 parts to it, like how many people actually get to see the page where you can kind of download the thing, and then how many people download the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So the first part is, what are you doing to take people there? Right? Just have it somewhere. It's the same as, posting, like put something out there. I have rant posts on where it's out there, right? Just posting it somewhere doesn't mean anybody will see it or will care. So how do you even invite people to visit that page? That's your first, and that's, I think it's just the same when people write a book. Oh, the book's out there. What does that even mean? Like, nobody's going to buy your book. Nobody's going to find it magically on Amazon, right? So there is you're going to have to think about what you can do to guide people there, to invite people to have a look, right? If you don't do that, then there's a very slim chance that somebody will download the thing. And then you've got, okay, a certain percentage of these people who get to the page will download the thing. That's where you can see how the message sits with the people who actually came to the page, right? So, but if you skip that first step, skipping steps is never a good idea, right?
I agree. Yeah. And some people think they put it in one place. I have this happen all the time, and I'm sure you do too, where people are like, oh, I'm going to put my website up and then I'm going to have millions of clients. Mm-hmm. I'm all, maybe if it was 1989, and now, sorry, you have to have a website in your business for so many different reasons that we won't go into today, but so does everybody else. And so, just putting a website up there and then never doing anything with it again is not going to ensure that it's not a magical spotlight for your business. It's it's a piece
of a file on a server. It's a file on the server, just like a book or on Amazon or a podcast or a website or a lead magnet. It's just a file on some server somewhere until you do something with it. So the question is, what will you do with it?
Exactly. So all really good points. And just to recap, so if somebody's just joining in, some of the things that we're talking about with your lead magnet are before you create it or when you create it is to just make sure that you're going to have to do some testing and it may or may not work, and to just kind of have an awareness that not every lead magnet is going to work, but also to make sure you put some analytics around what working means for you. Because, and I really wanted to kind of step back to that for just a second, because I think a lot of times we have this numbers game that we play in our heads as entrepreneurs. And we're told by a lot of the marketing gurus, like for lack of a better term, or the people in our industry, that you have to have thousands and thousands of downloads in order to make money in your business. And you and I both know that's not the case. And so it could be that maybe you have 5 people that download that free lead magnet, but if 2 out of 5 sign up to be clients with you, that's a successful lead magnet. And so I just really wanted to step back and acknowledge that that's a really important factor, is figuring out what that looks like for you as a success. Because if we're looking at a success for somebody else that's not us and has a different type of business and has a different growth projection from where we are, we're going to never feel like we are successful with our marketing. And we talked about that a little bit last week, is that, what are our, or I don't know if it was last week, it might've been a couple of weeks ago, but we were talking about goals and setting goals and like having them be appropriate for our business and not somebody else's business.
And I think the part that jumps to mind for me is like, it doesn't, when you think, oh God, the lead magnet doesn't work, then I have to go and create another one. It doesn't mean it has to take an awful long time, because first of all, you don't want to go overboard, but it also doesn't mean that it has to be sequential, right? And I think having more than one lead magnet will make it a lot easier for you to recognize quickly what kind of thing your audience actually resonates with. And then you can just kind of get rid of the ones that don't do anything for you. But nothing stops you from having several. And if you look at, like Ramit Sethi is like, he's a classic. You go to his website, and he has these blog articles, every single page. There's like, hey, do you want this as a download? Hey, do you want a checklist for this? Hey, do you want this? It's like, and Stephen Lewis, who was on the audio summit, you go to his website, there is like an invitation to join his email list literally on every page on his website. So there's multiple opportunities, multiple invitations, and they can all live there at the same time. And then you look at which ones work best, and you get rid of the ones that don't work and double down on the ones that do. So it doesn't mean that we'll drag it out and everything takes a long time.
Right. And, you bring up another really good point. And I think what popped into my head is that a lot of times people think creating a lead magnet is so overwhelming and it has to take a lot of time and things like that. But most often than not, if you are using something in your business already to work with clients, that's something you could turn into a lead magnet. Like turn it into a DIY version that gives them a taste of what it would be like to work with you, and turn that into your lead magnet. And so it doesn't have to be this over encompassing thing that takes hours and days and weeks and months to create. And then if you don't have the creative skills to turn that into something pretty, go to Fiverr, go somewhere and have somebody else create it for a really cheap amount and just be done with it. But you are absolutely right. And I'm working with a client right now that we're doing that similar thing on her website, where it's following the journey of the customer and then providing them a lead magnet for where they are on the journey. And that's where you and I come in with the strategy and thinking through like, okay, if they're here, they probably have an interest in this. So this lead magnet is going to be very applicable to them. If they're here though, that lead magnet is probably not going to mean anything to them, and it's not going to do well with that audience. That's getting a little bit more in the weeds, but that's really what it's going to come down to, because people are expecting at this point in the marketing world to have personalized marketing. And so I'm sure, I can't remember, was it Steve that you just mentioned?
Might be. Stephen Reed?
I don't remember whoever you just spoke about. Okay, so now the live for LinkedIn is going. I don't know what's happening. We're just going to ignore that today. I don't know what's happening and why it's being weird, but I'll just post it later. So anyway, but being aware of where people are and then personalizing that marketing for them, whether it's email, your social posts, or specifically on your website, is going to make the opportunity that people will click on and fill out your opt-in forms much, much higher. And so I think the one for everyone model is a thing of the past. Like if you're expecting to have one lead magnet that's going to work for everybody that could come across your path, you're probably going to be hurting to grow your list. And I know you do a really good job not only of promoting different things to your list, and I feel like I do that as well, but I think getting that even more honed in and customized for people is what's going to be required from here on out, because people know they're on to us is what it's
well, and I think and that's fair enough, because that's the thing, we are consumers as well, right? And so we will look at other people's stuff, and it's literally you scroll along, and the thing that speaks to you, it's the stuff that is really immediately relevant to you, and everybody does that, right. So we only have so much time in a day. There's so much stuff coming at us. So obviously we're going to filter out anything that is sort of vaguely is either I can't see the relevance at all, which means that's why you shouldn't leave your potential clients guessing how that could apply to them, and or it's kind of like, yeah, I'm sort of beyond that, or I'm not ready for that yet. So if it all comes down to I'm going to scroll and I think, nah, this isn't relevant to me, right? So I'm going to scroll past. So you want to offer your people, and that's it. It always comes back to the better you know your people, the easier that will be, right?
Right. And I was thinking about that this morning because there's so many, especially in retail and in it seems like the restaurant world, they tend to think that the best lead magnet is a percentage off or a coupon or something like that. But depending on where the person is that's seeing that, if it's the first time that they're seeing your product, they don't want a coupon or a percent off because they don't even know whether they want your product or not. And so being aware not only of your people and who they are, but where they are on their journey is going to help improve your conversions. Because if you're providing a coupon to somebody who's already been shopping and is ready to buy, the chances that they're going to convert and use your coupon and purchase your product is much, much higher. But if you're sending somebody a coupon and they don't even know what you do, who you are, and what you sell, they're going to be like, this is useless. And it's going to be like those coupons that come in the mail, they're going to go into the recycle bin.
And
only there's no recycle bin, they'll just pass by.
Absolutely. And if they're looking for a luxury experience and you try and entice them with a discount, you're going to lose all credibility, and they're going to immediately put your business into a bucket where you don't want to be, right? So, exactly. And I think it's also about, being creative.
Yep.
Right? What is it like? There's a million ways that you can come out with different options of enticing somebody to come closer into your world. And I think if you look at this more sort of almost more abstract way of looking at what the purpose of all this is, then I think the options for and your creativity will be sparked. In a way you hasn't have to be the discount code or the old checklist. Not that they don't work, but they're not the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And we have a lot of opportunities. So, well, we are hitting the 20-minute mark, and we want to be respectful of your time, especially since we had a couple minutes of like chaos before we started today. But if you need help with any of these things, both Anka and I, this is what we do all day, every day. And both of us are happy to help you. And in the meantime, we'd love to know your biggest takeaway, or even like the more, why don't you put in the comments today, like the best lead magnet you've ever created and why? And even like, if you don't have a best lead magnet, put the one that you have now and why you think it's working or not working, or if it's working or not working, because then we can, go take a look, give you some feedback, things like that. In the meantime, thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you, Anka, for being here. It's always a pleasure to see you. And we will be back next week. I can't remember what the topic is, but it'll be something marketing related to coaches, consultants, course creators, and the like. And we would love to be your marketing go-to. So in the meantime, take care, stay well, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.